Welcome back, everybody. We have the state's first execution of the year. The Brookside mayors finally made a public statement on that town's controversy. The special session is in the books, and a ball coach has passed away who we wanted to take a moment and remember. My name's Ike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama. First, what's going on at Auburn? They say success can be contagious. Well, earlier this week, the men's basketball team got its first number 1 AP ranking, and now last night, the women, on a 7-game losing streak, up and beat number 4 Tennessee. People have to remind me sometimes this isn't a sports podcast. Thought it was worth a mention. Now we can do some news. After a Thursday evening ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, the state of Alabama put Matthew Reeves to death by lethal injection shortly after 9 p.m. at Holman Prison in Atmore, reports AL.com's Tandra Smith. Reeves' lawyers had argued he wasn't mentally competent enough to understand what he was doing when he filled out paperwork choosing his execution method, and that he otherwise would have chosen the new method of nitrogen hypoxia. The defense had claimed that Reeves could read only at a first-grade level. Lower courts had put on hold the execution, and the Alabama Attorney General's office appealed to the High Court, which agreed with the state on a 5-4 vote. In 1996, Willie Johnson Jr. picked up an 18-year-old Reeves and some others beside a road in Selma to give him a ride. Later, Reeves fired a shotgun into Johnson's neck, took his $360, and at a party that night, according to witnesses, mimicked the man's death while he still had blood visible on his hands, and told people he was going to get a teardrop tattoo to show that he had murdered someone. Willie Johnson Jr. was 38 years old when he was killed. A statement from his family read, "After 26 years, justice has finally been served. Our family can now have some closure." Brookside, Alabama Mayor Mike Bryan addressed the situation his town has been in since the story broke last week about its police force's aggressive ticketing and the legal black hole people were finding themselves in after being pulled over for what were often minor traffic violations. AL.com's John Archibald, who broke the original story that made news nationally, reports that Mayor Bryan said he had pulled officers off nearby Interstate 22 and that he claims he was misled by the recently resigned police chief. Bryan, who became mayor in November, said in a statement that back on December 15th, he told Brookside Police Department to stop patrolling the town's municipal limits and its jurisdiction along I-22. He said police continued to patrol the interstate anyway. The mayor said Brookside needs help with the situation and that he's been in contact with Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth and is cooperating with the Lieutenant Governor's office. Now, Ainsworth has called for audits of the city, and State Representative Wandalyn Gavine has called for the resignations of Bryan, Municipal Judge Jim Wooten, and Prosecutor Mark Parnell. The Alabama legislature's special session on how to spend $772 million of federal pandemic relief is over after 5 days, reports AL.com's Mike Kasich. Both houses unanimously passed a plan that'll spend the money on high-speed internet access, water and sewer projects, health care needs, and more. And Governor Kay Ivey just needs to put pen to paper, and it's done. It may be done, depending on when you're listening to this. Now, the second portion of the American Rescue Plan Act is supposed to arrive in May or June. Alabama's cut of that is a cool $1 billion. The first UAB football coach has passed away, reports Evan Dudley for AL.com. Jim Hillier coached the Blazers from their 1991 inaugural season in Division III through 1994. When they were in Division I AA. His teams were 28-12-1 during his stint as head coach there. He was special assistant to head coach Bill Clark from 2016 to 2019. Now, before arriving at UAB, Coach Hillier, actually also Dr. Hillier through the UAB School of Medicine, he had coaching stops in the NFL, the USFL, and college ranks, including a couple of stints as an assistant at Auburn. Jim Hillier was 86 years old. Thank y'all so much for listening. Hey, have a great weekend. It's going to be cold between now and into Sunday morning, pretty much everywhere in the state. So bring in the plants, pets, and youngins and add some litter for the chickens. We'll see y'all about Monday. Until then, stop by and see us anytime you want to. We're open 24 hours a day and 7 days a week on the internet at al.com.